Well, forget the economy, crime, or the border. The Democrats are focused on how gerrymandering will save democracy. And leading the charge, none other than serial election loser Beto O'Rourke. Now he's dropping F-bombs in addition to the Rob of his name and rallying the left to ditch the rulebook entirely. Watch.
Listen, you may say to yourself, well, those aren't the rules. There are no refs in this game. F the rules. We are going to win whatever it takes. We're going to take this to them in every way that we can.
I think that was caught on the open mic. All right, Harold, is this going to be effective?
Well, you mean what Beto O'Rourke is doing? I think him raising money and trying to help these Democrats, probably narrowly. But let's step back for a moment. And I hate to be redundant here. I have no issue with governors and legislatures across the country, once the census data comes in, looking at the data, figuring out how many members of Congress you're going to have, because we have a set number, 435, and that number never moves. But each state's allocation could move every 10 years because of population growth or population movement. So generally what you have is at the beginning of the decade, the legislature in a state begins this process. And one of the reasons there's such hyper focus on the partisan makeup of those legislatures around that time is because to the victor goes the spoils. And the party in charge, and for that matter, the governor, he or she is able to sign the legislation that draws the congressional and state legislative districts. Texas, interestingly, is one of only a handful of states, if not the only state, to midstream redistrict this century. They did it back in the early 2000s because they picked up a few more seats and figured, why not do it? I just think that just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should do it. We have a system in place. Now, because the governor there decided to do it at the urgence of President Trump, they have every right to do it. If they want to do it, they've had precedent for doing it. We shouldn't seem shocked that Democrats are going to respond. For Democrats to unilaterally disarm and say, we're not going to try to counter this in other states, even if it's difficult to do, I think people would say one of two things. One, you Democrats are weak, or number two, why aren't you responding in a serious and forceful way? Now, would I do it quite the way and say that use the language that Mr. O'Rourke used? Probably not. But I get where he's coming from, and he's trying to raise money to be helpful to them. The way to stop all this, Emily, in my estimation, is for Texas to say, you know what, we're going to do what New Hampshire's doing. New Hampshire has a Republican governor. They are not doing mid-district or midstream or mid-decade redistricting because the governor there says, who's a Republican, says, I'm going to wait for the census data to come in, which is probably going to be in our favor, and then we will redraw the districts at the appropriate time. That's what should happen. And the fact that it's not in Texas, that is why we have Beto O'Rourke and others doing what they're doing.
A logical proffer from the gentleman, Greg, but the reality is that we're seeing a world tour of hysteria by all of these election losers like Tim Walz and Beto O'Rourke, and now they're just shouting that this gerrymandering is going to save democracy when the only thing we need saving from is them abdicating their duty.
You know, it's weird. I look at Beto O'Rourke and that there's just one feeling, and I can only explain it as I would hate to be his father-in-law. Do you know what I mean? He's like the one that just doesn't do anything, but tells you all these big stories about how he's going to make sure your daughter's fine, but he's just a load of horse pooey. Doesn't he look like the kind of son-in-law you don't want? Anyway, so the big complaint, and Harold points it out, is the midstreaming, which is like a card cheat saying it's not fair that you caught him cheating, so let's stop the game. Not you, Harold. I'm talking about the Dems who manipulated the census by flooding districts with illegals. They broke the rules, and so don't get mad when we catch you. We decide to fix it. The era of the free punch is over. And the Dems were always the masters of the cheap shot, manipulating the census. They made their districts look like a Smurf bled out with all the blue splatter. Now Trump is back and it's not fair. They say it's a threat to democracy. No, it's just a threat to Democrats. There is a difference. I like how Dems are now saying that this is a revenge tour. That was a narrative they started before the election. I don't know if you guys remember, they go, if Trump gets elected, he's going to go after everybody. Yeah. I remember saying, why do they think that? It's because they know they've been doing bad stuff. They know it's coming. And they know they deserve this. I've never thought about retribution when I've done nothing. But when I do something, I definitely think, oh, Harold's coming after me. So gerrymandering is Trump and the Republicans finally taking appropriate action against those who warrant it. It's not revenge. It's more like rebalancing. I mean, you screwed over millions of people with various hoaxes, the Russian hoax, Biden's sane hoax, God knows what else. I mean, just take your licks.
Take that.
Well, I'm just going to make a comment about Beto O'Rourke. He is the bad penny of Democrats. He keeps you forget about him, and then he keeps turning back up, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
We didn't invite you over, and here you are again. And the Democrats just last week, they were finally able to say, "Whew, Kamala's not running for governor. Oh, that's good. Let's put that one away." And yet this guy keeps coming up. It's like, imagine when last year when he said. In the 2020 primary, he said, "Hell yes, we're going to go door to door to confiscate your guns."
Yes.
He basically was like, "Oh, what more ammunition do we need here?" And so I think for him, maybe silence is golden.
Yeah, I guess Vanity Fair is regretting their decision, Charlie.
Yeah, this is the rawest of raw politics. I get people that you don't like gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is a terrible way to draw districts, but except for all the other ways, because who else is going to draw these lines except people that have been elected? That's the way this works. The real freak out is all about the fact that Republicans are doing it. Democrats have mastered it. They've done it brilliantly. The problem for them, of course, right now is they've done it so well for so long in every state that they can that there's no more room for them to do it anymore. And the only states left where you can have significant pickups are Republican states.
There you go. That's no one said that yet.
Well, you said it last week. But you said it to answer this question. When Democrats respond in New York and California, and
So
Illinois,
Greg just hears something that he's said before, and he's like, that's brilliant.
he thinks it's brilliant. That's how his mind works.
Yeah, totally.
Brilliance all around. All right, guys, ahead, President Trump just made a game-changing move to take on the cartels.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.